let's start just very basic, Jennifer. How would you describe what's going on to somebody maybe not in the know? Like what is
Ooh.
going on right now in Israel, Palestine?
You know, it's really. I want to start this with saying, like, I'm absolutely really excited to be here, but part of what is going on right now is it's an ethnic cleansing that has been going on for 73 plus years. It is this is not new. Whatever is going on is not new. It's been happening in fits and starts for the last 73 plus years. It is a part of a brutal occupation of Israel, occupying Palestine, occupying West Bank, Gaza, and all of historic Palestine. Like, this is not just, oh, this thing is happening and now it's flaring up in Gaza. This is about the entire country being occupied. And I think what we're seeing right now is like people are like, well, if this land displacement, like they started with these house thefts, which houses have been stolen since the creation of Israel. So it's not like, oh, these house thefts, 2 weeks ago in Jerusalem, in the neighborhood of Sheikh Jarrah in East Jerusalem. It's like, no, all of Palestine, all of the land, all of the houses have been stolen. So I want people to understand that this is not about this incident from 2 weeks ago. This is not about something that, it happened and can be like dealt with like in a vacuum. This is about a larger issue. And I think for the first time, what we're seeing is people's acknowledgement that this is a larger issue, an ongoing issue of injustice and apartheid that has been perpetrated against Palestinians. And we've seen more people than ever speaking up against this. And I'm feeling really hopeful, exhausted, and overwhelmed and heartbroken, but hopeful that a shift is actually happening in the public discourse.
So, we talked about that briefly off mic, and I really wanted to ask you about that. And because I kind of felt that same way too, where it's all too often, especially here in the United States, because our government is so close with Israel, their government. You often hear people like, oh, it's complicated, or oh, it's this, or oh, it's that. And I feel like finally people are saying, no, they're brutalizing the Palestinian people. That's how it's been. And you saw 25,000 people show up in Los Angeles. You saw, I think it was in Boston, where they shut down the Israeli embassy. And people are kind of seeing through that corporate media muck and are calling this for what it is. That this is brutalization. This is oppression. They're killing civilians. They're leveling people's residencies. They're stealing people's homes. They're killing journalists. They're killing. They destroyed an AP building, I think. I mean, this is. Yeah. And this has been going on for so long. And this is part of an oppressive right-wing neo-fascist government, which is what they have in Israel. And why do you think it's starting to shift a little bit, even here in the United States?
Well, years and years of work on the part of Palestinian activists, on the part of Palestinians on the ground, on the part of allies. I mean, this is not a new issue. I remember as a kid, 7 years old, going to protests and sitting on my parents' shoulders and yelling for like a free Palestine. It was like, what was the slogan? I'm totally dating myself here. It was like, Reagan, Bagan, don't you know, we support the PLO. I just remember as a kid being like, I don't even know what this is, but I'm sitting here chanting it. So we have been, people have been active in this fight for decades. And I think finally with social media, with TikTok, with Snap, there was this amazing guy who did this Snap feature where you can like drop into locations and see what people are posting. And so he did both sides, and it was like, this is people brunching, and then this is horrifying violence. Oh, the dog needs to be in on the show. She's like, aww, what's happening? You always have to be in on the show. I need you to go down. So Yeah, she makes an appearance, at least one, if not multiple, on every freaking live stream.
She was on the show
She was on the last one.
What's her name again?
Luna.
Luna.
She's like, wait, where's my airtime? I got things to say. But you know, what was I just saying? God, dog, why are you?
So you were talking about what someone did on TikTok.
Oh, he did this both. He was like, okay, let's see both sides, and it was starkly contrasting and insane when you were like, oh, people in Tel Aviv are hanging out and going to birthday parties, and then people in Gaza are like running through, hellfire and trying to dig their families' bodies out from rubble. And so it was like, if I hear any more both sides discourse, like, I'm going to lose my mind, because this isn't a war. This isn't a conflict. This is settler colonialism. This is one huge, powerful, well-funded military power attacking, oppressing, murdering civilian populations.
Yeah, and part of the reason we don't get that side of this story, and when I say we, I mean what the media in the United States usually spews out, is because who's funding that military? Well, we are. The United States is. I mean, we give, I think it's $10 million a day that we give to
$3.8 billion in military aid, just in military aid, plus a whole bunch of other things that aren't included in that. And right now, President Joe Biden has just approved a $735 million package of weapons for the Israelis. It's delayed. It's delayed.
But he's not going to say ceasefire. But he's just going to say maybe next week we'll deliver your weapons in a week. I'll say something about masks. People will go crazy. We'll forget about this conflict, and then boom, we'll have your precision missiles.
Well, it's interesting that you brought up masks, because right now Gaza is in its third wave of coronavirus. So huge populations, tens of thousands of people are being made homeless, are fleeing their homes, have nowhere to go in this huge coronavirus wave. Israel refused, even though they're occupying, they refused to provide them with vaccines, and they just blew up they killed the physician who was leading the coronavirus task force. They murdered his entire family, and they also blew up all of the infrastructure where they were doing coronavirus, like on the ground response. In addition to blowing up all the roads leading to the main hospital, in addition to the AP and Al Jazeera, in addition to bombing PCRF, which is a nonprofit on the ground that basically treats wounded Palestinian children, and that is like one of the most stellar nonprofits and organizations. I mean, they're killing all of the major like neurosurgeons and physicians. And where is Hamas in this? Where none of these people. Was Hamas hiding in the AP building? Is Hamas at PCRF, like hiding amongst the files for it's just.
Are they amidst the apartment buildings that they blew up?
Right.
Well, there was word that somebody knew somebody that had met someone that was associated with and shook hands with someone that could be possibly Hamas.
Right. So
8 degrees of Kevin Bacon to Hamas.
It's just a boogeyman. It's bullshit. We all know it's bullshit. It's like they've been running this story for so long, and I feel like finally the world is realizing it, or even it's not even just realizing it. It's like people are having the courage to speak out. Celebrities are having the courage to speak out, and this is something where people would not speak out. They would not want to ruin their careers. They would not want to deal with the onslaught of criticism that would be coming their way, and then they weren't equipped to respond to, because not everybody, including myself, knows dates and times and this resolution and that resolution. So people get overwhelmed, and the Hasbara, the Israelis, the PR machine they've created is like, let's capitalize on this feeling of overwhelm and reinforce that you don't really know what you're talking about. It's really complicated. It's best you don't say anything. And if you do say anything, you're probably going to be on a blacklist.
Yeah, that's the ultimate deflection, and it has been for so long. It's complicated. It's complicated. It's complicated, and we're finally breaking through that.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and